building team confidence and things like that. But in the meantime, what I was going to talk about was the new card that I have. So I just got the Mantis, and it is great. It is so choice. I highly recommend it. So it is the same as the Batmobile, but you can customize it. So this is great. Nice, big, wide car. Super easy to do flicks. Almost too easy to do flicks. So again, like the Batmobile, if you haven't used the Batmobile before, then what you'll notice, probably the first thing, is how wide the car is. How long the car is as well, but how wide the car is. Now there are other wide cars. The Breakout is actually as wide, roughly, as the Batmobile and the Mantis. They're kind of similar. And they're both long as well. I think the Batmobile and Mantis are a little bit longer than Breakout. But the difference is that the Batmobile and the Mantis kind of fit their hitbox visually. When you see the corner, it's much easier to see right there. It's much easier to see visually what you're hitting. And that's one of the reasons why the pros like the Batmobile and the Dominus. The Octane, in some ways matches the hitbox, but really the Octane, the reason why that's so popular is just because it's a well-rounded car, it's got a little bit of a taller hitbox, and it's one of the first cars that you get in the game, so a lot of people are just used to using it. But the reason why the Dominus and the Batmobile and the Mantis are popular is for two reasons. One is they visually fit their hitboxes very well, and they turn great. They have great turning radii. The turning radius is great. But the reason why it's so great to fit the hitbox is it's much easier to judge those corner hits. And if you played Rocket League enough, you'll know that the corners are where you can hit the hardest. You can hit the ball the hardest on the corner of the hitbox. And so being able to see where that corner is can be crucial. If you've watched Cookser 97, he's the best player in the world. He uses Batmobile. He's able to generate a ton of power in a very short amount of time by doing, corner hits, basically power shots, but using the corner. Now, a lot of people do that, but he's able to do it so much better than a lot of other people because he's a mechanical genius, but also because the Batmobile helps in that respect. It helps to kind of line up and really accurately hit it on the corners like that. So the one advantage of the Mantis, is just sort of the size of the hitbox, how long and how wide it is. So that really helps in terms of blocking shots. Cookser is so great at blocking shots. This thing is so big, you can sit here and just block stuff in the goal. You can also, when you're doing double touches off the backboard, the thing is just so big, you just block shots into the goal. So the length and the width of the hitbox is what a lot of people enjoy about the Mantis and the Batmobile. Okay, so another real positive aspect of the car is how long it is. And this relates to flicking. So you can get underneath the ball and you can flick it much easier than probably any other car in the game. There's other cars like the Breakout which are easier to flick, but the Batmobile and Mantis, so look at that, it's so easy. I wasn't even hardly going anywhere and just so easy to flick that ball. In fact, in some ways it's too easy to flick. You have to be really careful because if you've got speed and momentum and you flick it, it can go too far. So if you get too close to the goal, like normally what I've heard recommended, I think Kevpert recommends, when he talks about dribbling and making your plays, especially on one-on-one, you want to be able to make your shot by here. You see that box? Not the little goalie box down here, but this box up here. Is that the penalty box in soccer? I'm not as familiar. But essentially, you want to make your move, your final move by this. But with the Batmobile, if you're doing a flick with the Batmobile, I mean, you could do it like, you might even want to do it like further away, maybe back here, right? So, but it's really cool, so easy to flick with the ball. But the downside is the car is very low, so it's hard to do bounce dribbling because you can go under the ball. See what I did right there is just go right under the ball. So you have to be careful when using the car because you don't want to go under it. Very easy to go under it, like all the way under it, and just go right past it. So you have to be very careful, especially on the bounce dribbles. The best bounce dribbles are the low ones like that, right? The ones that are more controlled. If you try like a really high bounce dribble, the ball's coming down so fast, you have very little margin of error to be able to hit the ball. So for example, here, let's see here, I'm going to hit one that's further up in the air. And trying to hit that perfect, I did it there, but that's not easy to do. A lot of times what happens is you hit it just along the ground and it finishes bouncing. So bounce dribbling is much tougher with this car. Bounce dribbling is much easier with the Octane, so you see that a lot of people with Octanes will use bounce dribbling. And I would say in 1v1, bounce dribbling is probably, not only in 1v1, but just in all the playlists, I would say bounce dribbling is probably more effective than trying to carry the ball on the top of your car and flicking it in for a goal. Flicks are really important though. You really need to learn flicks because they allow you to kind of pop the ball past like one rushing defender. You see a defender coming at you, being able to flick it is really helpful in that. But in terms of like scoring, yes, you can use flicks to score with the Batmobile. I think you'll probably be doing that more often than not. But bounce dribbling is probably a little more effective. Again, people with the Octane, you're probably going to do more bounce dribbling than flicks. You can definitely still do flicks, but I would recommend if you have most cars, try to learn bounce dribbling because what it does is bounce dribbling allows you to, if you can control your bounce, not let it get too high, not let it get too far from you, then you can basically decide what to do with the ball. So, bounce here, take the shot, like that. That's essentially what bounce dribbling is really useful for. Whereas if you just have it on the top of your car, it's really, there's only one real place it can go, and that's up, unless you just hit the brakes and just let it drop off you, which is definitely a valid thing. That's the mind games, right? You have the ball in your car, you look like you're gonna, and then you just stop, and somebody flies over you. It happens. Some people will pre-jump on those. So they see you got like this, and they'll pre-jump, and you can just stop like this, and then hit it. So that's something that you can do, but generally, if you have it on the top of your car, you're gonna have to flick it up. And it's just whether you pop it or whether you flick it. But people will be looking for that. Whereas for the bounce dribble, they don't know. They don't know if you're gonna then get under the ball and then flick it up. They don't know if you're going to take a power shot, which is like devastating if you time it right. They don't know if you're gonna follow up with like an air dribble. So for example, let's say you have, let's say you're doing a bounce dribble. Again, you can't really do bounce dribbles very well with the Mantis, but I'll show you. Let's say here, and you're doing another bounce dribble here. Oh, see, it's so low, it's hard to do. Here, and then here. Oh, see, there again, so I kind of caught it. Yeah, bounce dribbling is pretty tough with these low cars, but it is something you have to learn how to do. Right here, I went under it again. Here, oh, man. Anyway, so if I can get this, it's easier to show you with the Octane. There it is, and then take the shot, right? So bounce dribbling is really helpful in being able to hide what you're going to do, because you're just dribbling it, the person doesn't know what you're going to do. The other thing you can do is do like an air dribble. So it's coming here, you bounce it once, you bounce it a second time, and then you follow it with an air dribble. Of course, you want to hit it a little higher than that, but that's an option to do. So again, bounce dribbling is pretty helpful with that. So again, here, And then you can follow it with the air dribble. Of course, for the air dribble, you want to hit it higher than that. But with that, you just keep, either, it doesn't have to be a real air dribble. It can just be like a double touch, a second touch like that. And that's pretty much the most important thing when it comes to creating kind of an offensive play by yourself, is being able to get like a second touch. So that's one touch, but where's the second touch, right? I missed it. So, especially coming from your end, you're not going to sit there and be a big carrot all the way. So you have to be able to get like another touch on the ball, be able to flick it up, flick it past somebody, power shoot it, air dribble it, whatever. So that's really important for kind of creating plays on your own. Getting that second touch right there, like that's a little extra touch at the end, just in case there was a goalie there, then it would have been like trying to lift it a little bit more. So I really like the Mantis. It's really nice. I recommend checking it out. If you're a fan of the Batmobile, I think you're going to really like it because obviously you can customize it as opposed to the Batmobile. I'm not really a huge fan of the engine noise, but it's better than the Batmobile, so hey, I mean that's a plus, right? It does take some getting used to, but I have used the Batmobile in the past. In fact, the Batmobile was one of my favorite cars. It was essentially, it felt the best, like I could get to balls faster, do more with balls, but it has its drawbacks. Like I said, it's hard to dribble with it. I mean, bounce dribble with it. It's easy sometimes to underestimate how far off the ball is from the wall. So if you're trying a wall shot and you're thinking that you'll be able to just, sometimes when you're doing a wall shot, you just want to hit the ball off the wall, right? And so you just want to hit it like this, but sometimes the ball's a little off the wall, and just because the way the ball bounced, and if you're not careful, you can just fly right underneath it with the Batmobile because it's so low. So you have to make sure you do a little bunny hop sometimes. And I don't know if people have ever said that before, but basically that happens with a lot of the cars, the low cars. You have to do the little bunny hop. So for example, you're coming up on a ball that's kind of bouncing just a little bit. To get a really good hit on the ball, see the ball's bouncing a little bit here. Sometimes you have to do a little bunny hop, or do a little side flip or something. Otherwise, you could either miss the ball and go straight underneath, or you'll pop it up too high. So it does take some care in using it, but at the same time, I mean, there's some things that it's so good at, just because it's so big, that I think the pros outweigh the cons. So obviously, if you're a big fan of the Octane, you're not going to want to use the Mantis. But if you like lower cars like the Breakout or the Dallas, I would definitely recommend checking it out. If you're a Batmobile user, you really should check it out. It really does feel a lot like the Batmobile, but looks better, and it's customizable. It sounds a little bit better, so definitely recommend it. Okay, let's see. Do I have enough time?